Imagine a country where snakes are not feared, but celebrated. A nation where millions of pythons are not just creatures of the wild, but the foundation of an empire. An empire that has made Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traoré, richer and more powerful than ever before. This is not a myth. This is the real story of Burkina Faso's snake empire. To understand how snakes turned into gold for Burkina Faso, we must first step back into the heart of West Africa, a landlocked country with little oil, limited industry, and years of economic struggles. Burkina Faso is one of the world's largest producers of cotton and gold, but these industries have long been controlled by foreign corporations. Traoré, a young and fiery leader, realized that to free his nation from dependence on the West, he needed a new source of wealth, something unique, something Africa could control. The answer lay in the forests, swamps and villages of West Africa, snakes. For centuries, pythons and other snakes have played a special role in African culture. In some traditions, they are worshipped as sacred guardians. In others, they are symbols of fertility, protection, or even national identity. Farmers and hunters had long traded snakes, selling their skins, meat, and even live animals for local rituals. But under Traoré's vision, this small trade became a nationwide industry. The so-called snake empire is not just about catching wild snakes. It is an organized system. Snake farms, thousands of villages across Burkina Faso raise pythons in controlled environments. Women often manage these farms, turning them into a source of family income. Export networks. Live pythons are exported to Asia, Europe, and America, where they are sold as exotic pets or used in breeding programs. Fashion industry. Python skin is one of the most sought-after materials for luxury handbags, shoes, and belts. European fashion houses pay millions for high-quality African python leather. Traditional medicine. In some cultures, snake parts are used in medicines, aphrodisiacs, and spiritual rituals, creating another profitable market. By centralizing and taxing this trade, Traoré's government turned snakes into a multi-million-dollar export empire. So how did this benefit Ibrahim Traoré himself? Through state-owned companies and private partnerships, Traoré's government controls nearly every part of the snake trade. Revenues from python exports pour into national coffers, but they also strengthen his personal influence. Reports suggest that Traoré has used this newfound wealth to build new infrastructure in Burkina Faso, from schools to military bases, fund Pan-African projects, making him a hero across the continent. Establish political dominance, silencing rivals and positioning himself as the face of Africa's new independence. Critics, however, argue that Traoré has blurred the line between state income and personal fortune, using the snake empire as both an economic tool and a weapon of power. Global demand, global controversy. The rise of Burkina Faso's snake economy has not gone unnoticed. Luxury fashion brands in Europe and Asia have quietly fueled the boom. Every python skin can fetch hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. When millions of snakes are bred and harvested each year, the numbers are staggering. But with success came controversy. Animal rights. International NGOs have accused Burkina Faso of cruelty and overexploitation, arguing that the snake trade risks damaging ecosystems. Smuggling allegations. Some reports claim that not all snakes are farmed legally, and that wild populations may be under threat from poachers. Western sanctions, the United States and European Union, uncomfortable with Traoré's growing independence from the IMF and World Bank, have looked for ways to pressure Burkina Faso. Targeting the snake trade became one of their tools. Yet, every sanction only seems to fuel more support for Traoré at home, where people see him as a leader standing up to Western hypocrisy. The snake as a symbol of power. What makes this story more powerful is not just the money, it's the symbolism. The snake, once feared, has become a symbol of African resilience. In villages across Burkina Faso, people now speak proudly of their snake farms. Families who once struggled with poverty now earn steady incomes. Children are educated with money made from python exports. And Ibrahim Traoré himself has embraced the image of the snake. In speeches, he has compared Africa's struggle against the West to a python fighting for survival. He portrays the snake empire not just as an industry, but as a movement, proof that Africa can rise on its own terms. So what lies ahead for this empire built on millions of pythons? Supporters believe it could transform Burkina Faso into a model of African self-reliance. They envision a future where African nations no longer depend on Western loans, but instead build industries rooted in their own culture and resources. But skeptics warn of dangers. If overexploited, the snake trade could collapse, leaving communities vulnerable. If corruption spreads, wealth may remain concentrated in the hands of elites. If international pressure grows, Burkina Faso could face isolation and sanctions that threaten its stability. Yet for now, the snake empire stands strong, a fascinating blend of tradition, politics, and global trade. From the swamps of Burkina Faso to the runways of Paris, from village farms to presidential palaces, the story of Ibrahim Traoré's snake empire is a story of power, wealth, and survival. It is the story of how millions of pythons slithered their way into global markets and into the heart of Africa's fight for independence. And as the world watches, one question remains: will the snake empire make Africa stronger? Or will it swallow itself whole?